welcome back, friends, to Pour It On, our podcast about male friendship, life's challenges and joys, and making the most of our time together. I am Ben Feller, kicking us off tonight with a topic that is very near and dear to me, and hopefully to my friends as well. Chris and Shaun, co-host in this adventure together. Um, I'm coming to you from New York City and eager to get into a conversation with my friends again. I'll give them a chance to say hello. Chris, we'll start with you. How you doing? How's life?
Life is good. I was kvetching with Shaun a little bit earlier that since we're now nearly in November, it gets dark here so early here in Chicago. It gets dark everywhere earlier, I guess, of course, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And I just figured out an hour ago how to turn the bright camera off on or the bright light on my camera so I won't glare or glow like I have been. Now, I did serve in a nuclear reactor for a number of years, and so I probably have a larger radiation intake than you two jokers. Yeah, perhaps that's why I don't care to glare or glow as much. But
I
anyway, I'm doing well. Thank you.
I just thought you glowed. I didn't even know that was a lighting
Right? That's
a
that's what
lighting
I've
thing.
always thought. His natural
Yes.
energy is just so.
Yeah.
I
So
wear
bright.
sunglasses every time we do a call.
Plus, now we have so many listeners, as this is our 10th episode, that there's, I'm sure, a poured on bingo card of things that people expect to hear. And you've already checked off the first usage of kvetching in the first
Oh,
90 seconds, which is awesome, right? That was, I think, in the center square. Uh,
I was thinking about his reference to the Northern Hemisphere. I'm like, oh, no, I'm
yes,
not sure that's come
yes.
up before.
It's esoteric,
Right.
esoteric
Yeah.
bingo for you,
Uh-huh.
that's
Mr.
the
Lozier.
upper right block. Yeah.
Shaun, we are thinking of you. How are you doing?
Good, guys. Good to be with you. Dealing with some family issues, but it's good to have a conversation with my two friends to bring me joy. So, uh, good to be here.
Amen. Amen to you. Well, the way that we do these conversations is, as you can tell, pretty informal, but we do pick a topic each week, which rotates among the three of us and whoever's kind of leading the call that time. And tonight, that's me. And we also, whatever we pick, it happens in real life, whatever's going on among the three of us. So, to the degree that you want to, get into that, Shaun, please do, and we'll just see how it goes. So. Um, I met both of you a few years ago when I wrote a children's book called Big Problems, Little Problems, and it, among other things, the one of the best parts about that experience is it has connected me to new people who have added a lot to my life, and so that was let's say 2022, I believe. So here we are coming towards the end of 2025, and I still think a lot about big problems, little problems, specifically just because I wrote about it does not at all mean I'm a master of it. Like, how do you make the complicated simple in turning life's daily frustrations into something that just aren't that big of a deal? And I wanted to just start by opening up that to the two of you because I'm thinking about it a lot with things going on in my life. And how do you both do it? How do you turn big frustrations every day into ones that are just more manageable and little problems? What's the way that you do it, and do you even struggle with this?
Mhm.
Um, so I'll start with you, Chris. I'd love to hear what your method is.
Hmm. Assuming that I have a method, is that what?
Yes, yes. If you have a
uh,
method, please share.
it's funny because I definitely do have a tendency to blow small problems out of or little problems out of proportion. Like I think maybe we all do. And I think that the my attempt at solving for that is requires reflection and meditation. I mean, I just today I had a call with a prospective client that probably didn't go as well as I wanted to. I had a lukewarm email response from a prospective client that that I'm pretty hopeful about. And my immediate reaction to both of those things was to hang my head. And
Yeah.
and those even those two things are of sort of different magnitude, both in terms of how they went and what the hope was and the potential was for them. And so I think I've shared with both of you guys before that my meditation practice is a microdosing meditation practice where I'll sit down for a 5 or 10 minute guided meditation. But that recentering is necessary, I think, to sort of put things into perspective, right? Like neither of those prospects are dead based on what happened today, but my initial reaction was, boy, did I fuck that up, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so we had a similar conversation with my friend Matt Candler a couple of days ago, where he went through, sort of an experience where he's like, "Wow, I should have done this or I should have done that," and it was sort of debilitating for at least for a brief moment. So, I I'll make an I statement here so I don't piss off Todd Adams. If I don't step back and reconsider and search for sort of a different framing or a broader perspective, I'm liable to stew.
Hmm.
And so anyway, that's the best I got in terms of solving for this problem is just like take a break, walk the dog, do something to consider what else is going on in my world, in my life that is fantastic.
Mm.
I'll stop there.
Can you just clarify one thing for me? When you talked about microdosing, is it shrooms? Is it
No,
weed?
no,
Is it bourbon? What are you
no,
microdosing?
no.
Oh, meditation?
Microdosing on meditation, dude.
Oh, oh, all right.
Among other things.
Oh, all right. I wasn't, I just needed clarification
You
on
knew.
what you're microdosing. When you brought this up, Ben, the first thing I thought about today was how um, when something feels like it's a massive problem in the moment, you're in this moment and it's like, oh shit, how's this ever going to work its way out? And I get that feeling in my chest and it's like really anxious and maybe hopeless and then whatever it is, whether it's a day or a week or a month, and it's like, oh shit, I mean, that wasn't that was nothing. I mean, it's so for me, I
Mm.
think about I think about time as a factor
Hmm.
in the big problems versus the little problems, and so can I stay in that moment and say, all right, chill the fuck out. This is just right now feeling like it's massive.
Hmm.
And in
Hmm.
reality, there's so many ways that this could go. I think about it sometimes when I'm talking with um, folks that have children that are younger. So my kids are 30s, 20s, and they have kids that are younger, and I'm like, yeah, I know. You think like this is, and every situation is different, right? But having the benefit of time, I
Hmm.
can see where it's like, yeah, I was there, and it was fucking
Mm.
awful. And then, time it works its way through. And sometimes it's us, and sometimes it's just time, and sometimes it's circumstances we don't even know. Um, but that's the thing that came to mind is when something hits me, and it's like, if only I could be looking at this a week from now and realize that it's not as bad as I feel like it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta hop in real quick because what you just said reflects pretty much 100% an email I sent today to a prospective, if you've come this far, guest, this wonderful man named Jonathan Mooney, who said, none of these times work for me because I'm in LA and I've got 3 kids and I got to get them ready for school or whatever. And I sent him back some additional windows where we might be able to do it. And I also added, I remember or I recall the days when my kids were little and the school preparation being challenging. And now I remember all of that so fondly. So isn't it interesting how our perception of these things shifts over time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Really helpful. Um, for me, I think the micro meditations parentheses mushrooms implied from Chris is something you've talked about before, but something I'm still endeavoring to do. It came up this weekend, Chris, and so I appreciate you doing that, and even if it's just walking away. Um, and yeah, Shaun, I think about the time gap all the time. Like you can know, I'll speak about myself so we don't get the Todd Adams reference also on the bingo card for our friend Todd.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
um, I can think about, I know this will bother me less later. I know it. But in this moment, it's like, come on. And the problem I have, Shaun, is even when I do that well, sometimes I have to respond in that moment. I don't
Mhm.
have the luxury of a week or an
Mhm.
hour. It's a question that's hanging. It's deadline.
Yep.
And B, it's like, okay, I can probably handle this really well and respond well with poise and perspective, but it sure still bothers me.
Mhm.
Like that's probably the next level is even when you do kind of make it smaller and handle it and it goes away, man, it still comes up way too often. Where something I'm like, that's not what we talked about. That's not what we agreed on. Why are you kicking the problem back to me? And so I'm still working on it. And it bothers me when, as you said, Chris, it ends up putting you in a stewing state of mind. Pissed off, momentary, frustrated, take a breath, walk around the block. But when you stew, it's not healthy and not worth it, especially when you come back around and you're like, that wasn't that big of a deal. Like 3 weeks from later, I'm like, why did I stew at all? So even though we know the things, it's just hard to get there in the moment sometimes. That's what I still find.
Ben, can I ask you a question? Even
Yeah.
though you're the leader of this episode, I find that my stewing tendencies and my inclination to go to a dark place are are heightened when it's something that I feel like I've fucked up, right? Like if it's an issue, if it's a little problem with my daughter, or with my wife, or with a coworker, or whatever, I get over it faster. Um, but I think, and I'm guessing this is true with you, Ben. I don't know about you, Shaun, but with when it's something that I think I could have done better or differently, then it's more debilitating. And the need to walk away and to meditate and recenter, et cetera, is even greater. I'm curious, do you find that trend to be true in your life?
I think I stew more when I know that you have fucked up.
Okay, good to
But
know. Good to know.
but I'm over it now. See how much my mood changed? Uh there you could definitely find me a lot of the time saying like I what could I have done there? What I'm not doing this well enough. Absolutely. Um I think though honestly when I get into that mode more, I thinking about the examples, it's like um something's put on my calendar for Monday. I'm like, what is this meeting? I was like, oh, we'll talk about it then. I'm like, so you don't want to share what it is. It's probably in reference. It might be about this, might be about this. So now I'm like, you didn't handle it with clarity, transparency. I gotta think about it over the weekend. I'm not beating myself up in those moments. I'm like, so probably the through line is what I think is a sense of unfairness. That's just life, you know. And
Mhm.
usually those meetings are not nearly as bad as you think, or even if they're exactly what you thought you dealt with it and you moved on. Um, it's something that my son has in his character. He's looking for the fairness of things, which is good if you want to model that, but it's not good if you think that like life should be that way. It's like life is unfair. Uh, so yeah, so that's when it happens. I also wanted to ask you guys about how you role model it. That was part of the book, and I was without realizing it overtly, I was role modeling problem solving for my at the time very young son. And when I realized when I was having a tough moment, and he repeated the coping techniques that I had been teaching to him back to me
Mhm. Mhm.
in a way that was unforgettable and became the reason for the book. But I realized like, wow, my role modeling, like he really got it. And so It's one thing for us to have perspective or meditate, and that's kind of how we do it in our world. But it's another to show how we problem solve to others, whether there are kids, at work. And I'm curious if this is something you guys actively try to do, or maybe you kind of deconstruct how you conduct yourselves, and are you role modeling problem solving all the time?
So, so I think this question, big problems, little problems around others, is really an interesting one because, um, being intent from my standpoint on trying to let go of things and not have them big problems. I try to share I try to share that with others around me that I have relationships with, wife, children, and I get accused of being a minimizer. So I am interested in making big problems, little problems, and therefore I'm a minimizer. And so at times maybe I could do a better job of expressing my compassion for loved ones that are dealing with it's that idea of, if we're involved and engaged with others and I'm looking at something, well, what are you getting so freaked out about? But it's a big problem to them. So it's about being,
Mm.
compassionate and understanding for this problem, this issue, um, and not trying to minimize it. So I think sometimes I do an okay job of trying to model letting go, and other
Mm-hmm.
times I'm a dickhead and am not doing not doing a good job of communicating the fact that this might just be a little problem.
Mm.
I think that speaks to the efficacy of role modeling versus communicating. Like I've made this mistake countless times where I think I'm going to help my kid effectively by telling her not to worry. This is not, explaining without empathy. So this is where empathy is gold, right?
Right.
Empathy and
Yeah.
curiosity are fucking
Yeah.
gold.
Yep.
Like I don't know how. I haven't taken the time to understand how deeply it may be affecting May or Anna or Manisha. And so I jumped to this, mansplaining view, like you're not gonna remember this tomorrow, and that is so, in my experience, ineffective. And I think, how well have I role modeled this? I think I've role modeled it pretty well, but I've fallen down countless times. And so, empathy is huge in this thing, and B, role modeling versus explaining are like fucking apples and oranges.
Yeah, and I'll say I do think that I role model. I mean, at least the feedback is, oh, nothing such a big, Dad's never or Sean's never worried about. Doesn't anything bother you? I, so that's so, so that's my so I guess my role modeling no. So I guess my role modeling works,
You know
but
what?
then but then I'll put a cherry on top.
You know what they're thinking in those moments, Sean? They're like, "Oh, Dad must be microdosing again."
Yes. Yeah.
I
I'd
learned
like
from the
I
best. I
I'd like to
learned from
see
the
the
best.
the scenes, Chris, when Sean's walking around the park and he's actually pissed off about something, but not showing it. And he's like, "You minimizer, talking to yourself,
Yeah, yeah. Stop
dickhead.
minimizing.
Stop
Stop
minimizing
it.
yourself." Yeah, I think that huge. This is so interesting to me. Huge difference between role modeling and sort of explaining. And it's funny you said that, Sean. I do think that you do to me role model perspective.
Thank you.
You do, and I get it from you. And you know, Chris and I tend to go back and forth more on like the how. Does this work or that work, or what was the thing that caused that? But I think you have just kind of a way about you. Now, the whole thing about explaining, like what I try to do is if something is wrong with somebody else I care about, so in that moment they clearly think it's a big deal. I just assume and accept a premise that's a big deal, whatever it is, you know, from a forgot my keys, parking ticket, missed a call, like, okay, that's a big deal for all the reasons you just talked about. And so I try to listen. And then if I do see an opening where if my best instincts are I could do something to be helpful, I try or I ask. I'm like, I have an idea if you're up for it, and that
Mm.
sometimes it gets say, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Or like, what do you think I should do? Because I'm like, sometimes they don't want that, as you know,
Right.
they just want to listen. But I'm like, I have an idea. Or I say, listen, I've never gone through what you're going through. I could tell you what I think I would do. Like these little distances that I'm like, I'm not talking to you about how you need to do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I've done in situations like that. The only time I say it's not a big deal is when my son thinks that I am upset with him
Mm.
for something.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
He has a tremendous capacity to do a lot of things well. One of the things that he does not do as well is remember where his water bottle is. Okay, I can assure you that it is not crack my top 10 of concern. It is if you go to my Amazon queue for reordering, there's a lot of water bottles. And I just said to him last time, like, listen, man, we'll stop getting you the really nice ones. We'll just get like a 4 pack or whatever. And he was actually a little bit upset that I wasn't more upset. He almost felt like he deserved more. I'm like,
Mm.
I go, I'm not just going to give that to you because what's happening right now is that we've talked about you taking responsibility for your stuff
Yeah.
because daddy works really hard for the
Yeah.
stuff I buy. But you're upset because you've already internalized that. I'm letting him down. I'm not accountable. And I'm like, so there's no, you're playing my role. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a role model have accountability. I'm like, more like take the pressure off it. It's just not, it's not that big of a deal. I promise you. Look, problem solved. Let's go on,
Yeah.
you know? So that's how I try to think about the difference between role modeling and explaining. That's
Well, Ben, one of the reasons that I love your book and B, took an instant liking to you was because of the thoughtfulness that was so evident in how you think about parenting. Arguably, our most important jobs while we're here on the planet, right? How we raise these young people. And I need a periodic reminder of how much they pay attention, like how much they pick up, right? And so when we think about modeling, what was it, 9 months ago, I was in a job where I was in a bad place. I was not I was not the dad that my two daughters had grown used to.
mm-hmm,
And I thought that I was pulling the wool over their eyes. And I found out subsequently that like, oh, Dad, we knew something was wrong,
mm,
you know. And so it's helpful for me to remember that whatever we say is maybe an order of magnitude less effective than what it is they see us do. And so, I mean, water bottles or whatever we're talking about, that's what our kids are going to take away in most cases in spades.
yeah. And Sean, you were talking about how this idea that for somebody who's going through a period of life like raising young kids, our kids are older now, so we look back at that period with just really nothing but fondness,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And in my neighborhood in Brooklyn last weekend, it was quintessential Park Slope America. It was just kids in their Halloween costumes early for different parties and fairs, strollers everywhere, happy people. It was a beautiful day, but it was particularly the young kids everywhere. And I felt this massive wave of nostalgia. But then I also felt I did not miss that. That
Mm.
was the thing I was always fearful of is that were you going to be so busy, so preoccupied that you were going to miss it? And I didn't. I miss it now because in a nostalgic way, but I did not say, oh, I wish I would have done more of those things. Because if there was like a Halloween party on a Saturday, I was going to go to it.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. So turning back to present day, I want to ask you guys the same question, but a couple different ways. Are there big problems that you're dealing with right now that you wish were little problems? And, maybe it's airing that can be something that the other two of us on this podcast can be helpful with. Anything that's
Mm.
top of mind for you right now?
I really No, for me.
You freaking minimizer.
Right.
Well, I mean, Shaun, you just shared with us that
Yeah, but that's different, I think.
is it different?
I don't know.
This goes back to men living in a way. It's like sometimes I need therapy, sometimes I need peer support, and peer support is often, boy, it would be helpful if I could just sit down with a couple friends who have been through the same thing, who may be able to tell me that this is not as big a problem as I'm making it out to be or whatever. And in the case of your dad, I mean, I lost my dad tw almost 20 years ago. Um, and I think about it a lot. Not daily, of course, but I feel good about how it went down. That sounds like a weird thing to say, doesn't it? Like I feel good about how my dad's death went down, which is not what I'm saying. But as I said to you earlier, I got to say the things that I needed to say to him, and so does that not rise to the level of
Yeah,
for you?
I think it's, this question of, what's a big problem? What's a problem?
Hmm.
Mm,
Telling these guys my dad's going to pass here soon. He's very ill. And, um, I think for me, it's that recognition that that happens to us all. I mean, there's a lot of emotion
mhm.
around this, but this happens to us all, and so it's an event.
Hmm.
It's not a problem. And is the way I kind of look at the
Mm.
conversation that we're having, and really the basis of Ben's book. Emotionally, I will be fine, and we'll just go through a lot of nostalgia and memory and engagement, and then and then we continue living.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, let me ask you this: like, when you decided how to write your book and what to name it, could you not have just as easily named it Big Hardship, Little Hardship? Like what is a
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah. I think that, the way that Shawnee reacted to that, it's completely fair. Not that you need us to affirm that, but you could be going through the potential loss of a parent, which you are, and still not think of that as a big problem. Not that it's not a source of hardship or heartache, but it's also not something that you are grappling with,
Right.
right, or trying to solve, or it came out of nowhere, and what are you going to do about all these different things? Because you're sort of in a place where, to the degree you can, you have and are processing it. So it
Yeah.
feels like maybe a sad or momentous event, but not something that it's a problem. I get that distinction. I do. I
Yeah.
think that it would be weird if the question had been framed otherwise about family issues or grief or sadness, and you're like, nope. Then that would be like, wait, how is that?
Yeah.
But a problem,
Fair.
I could see that. Whereas for a lot of other people in the situation, it'd be a massive problem, debilitating.
And I think that's actually the beauty of your book, and we said this even when we first met you and we talked about it, is an acknowledgement and a recognition of how we hold on to daily things that happen to us,
Yeah.
and how it can affect us in such awful ways that we can't even see what's right in front of us.
Hmm.
And so those are the thing that's my biggest takeaway from that, which is how do we work, how do we acknowledge that, recognize that, work through that, particularly because it's about you and Sam
Hmm.
in with the people that we love. And so when it comes to something like this, yeah, it certainly is a big event, but one that I think is something that I'm processing. Okay.
Yeah. Fair. Fair. Fair
Well, and
indeed.
here I am probably breaking all the rules of the book, whereas like, Shaun, this is a bigger problem than you think it
Are you
is, you know?
okay? Okay, you're a maximizer then.
Yes, he's
I'm
a
You're
a
a maximizer.
maximizer.
You're a
Yeah,
maximizer.
and I play
I'm
it
a
right down the
Yeah,
middle, so we
maximizer.
got it all
Yeah,
covered.
maximizer.
I covered all the bases.
Yeah.
I don't worry about you, Sean, about anything except for your putting. Maybe your putting
Oh,
is
you
Bingo,
no, you haven't
bingo
played.
card, golf
You
joke
haven't.
once
You
again.
haven't.
bingo card.
You, I I
Um,
putted so well the other day. It was ridiculous.
okay,
Ridiculous. I
let's
mean, I
shift
would
the
tell you
topic
if it was
here.
bad, but it was really
But
good.
wait, I've lost the thread here. I've lost control of the conversation. I have to bring it back to this because I can hear if you hear the references to our listeners of Todd Adams, our friend from Med Living, who is a very thoughtful listener of this new podcast and is encouraging us to keep the promise about keeping it real and being vulnerable. Chris, I want to go back to you on my question of a few minutes ago before we start talking to
Yeah.
Shaun about is there anything big that you're dealing with these days that you'd like to see become a little problem?
Yes. As Sean knows, like I'm entering, we're all roughly the same age, and I recently left a job, and I'm looking forward in my career, and I'm hopeful that I'm looking forward to the final chapter of my career. I don't want to have seven more chapters. I think I know what I want to do, and what I think verges sometimes on being perceived, at least by me, as a big problem is my professional utility or value, right? Like I said, I shared earlier that I had a call that didn't go great today, and I think I got off that call and I'm like, wow, you know, I'm not that good at this. And it's not about for me, it's not about accomplishment or whatever. It really comes down to basically how am I going to set my kids up and take care of my family and do all that stuff. But there's also a big part of my career that's about affecting social change for good. And so I want to be doing good work in that for that cause. And sometimes I think, oh my God, I am 55 and I just don't know as much as I thought I knew.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I mean, I'll wonder about that, you know, once or twice a week. So, for that's all I got for now.
Well, that is a big one, and it's appreciate that. It's also helpful to hear because my gut reactions are knowing you, knowing somewhat about the work that you do in your background, and having to have the perspective of folks since we are the same age who have been in this spot. All those things lead me to like this is going to be fine. Now, I don't say that as a just a sense of affirmation. I genuinely believe that. But that's easier for me to say, and so I could see how that could potentially have a minimizing effect. It's like, yeah, it might be fine, Ben, but in the meantime, I just told you I'm having doubts of even if fleeting about my professional utility. That's heavy as hell, and I completely get that. But what I don't hear from you is a lack of you're not wondering what to do about it. Is that fair? Like you know the
That
steps.
is fair. That is
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, and if I could put an exclamation point on that, Ben, I think knowing what Chris is doing to address the big problem, not so much his skill set or his utility, I mean his ability to be in the game. He is working to make that a little problem, if you will, by all the steps that he's taking, because he's going to get right into the batter's box and do another phone call and
Hmm.
send another email and I think that's the other thing that I just that I just want to say as I listen to you, Chris, is that sometimes, particularly in a professional world, I mean it's you can get in the Hall of Fame by hitting 300. I mean, not every
Hmm.
not every call goes great. It's like, are you
Hmm.
getting back in and taking more swings? And I think those types of things, that resiliency, that grit, those are the things that help us to make big problems little too.
Hmm.
It's not just
Right.
letting go of them. It's like, do we have the resilience to get after it and to just make things better?
Well, I appreciate both of your comments on this. And I think it goes back to role modeling is like get back in the batter's box, man. You know, take another swipe at this thing,
Yeah.
and don't let it knock you down. Or if it does knock you down, get back up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that again with my son a lot, as recently as tonight, attending his football practice, like three plays in a row, embarrassing play, great play. But after the first one, he was just like, couldn't believe it, head down. Hung her head, I think you said earlier in this recording.
Hmm.
And it's tougher when somebody you love, you see that because
Mm.
just get back, just try
Hmm.
it again, just try it
Hmm.
again. All right, so we'll end with this. We are at our time. Asked you about something that you're dealing with to make a big problem into a little problem. Is there any example recently that has made you feel great, where you have in fact solved a problem or made something big feel little for you or somebody that you love? I'll start just to kick it off in the sense that I just mentioned my son. I know that he comes up a lot, but we had a conversation about a month ago that I had one of the best days of the year, if not the best day, by being present at his practice, and he invited
Hmm.
me to play. And then right after that, he broke his finger. He was in a cast for a month. He missed most of the season. This past week, he got the cast off. He started playing water polo again, and tonight, knock on wood, as a bookend, Monday night, it's getting dark really fast, as you said, Chris. And
Hmm.
I said I finished up, and I'm looking. Hey, I'm working in Brooklyn. He called me and he's like, "I'm a practice." I said, "You want a visitor?" He's like, "You can come." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be there in
Oh.
15 minutes." So I grabbed his cleats and I came up, and he was just so excited to have me there. And I realized as I was there, like, I got him through that. His mom got him through that. The whole thing, the doctor's appointments, the pin in his finger, all this stuff. The idea that he would actually play again in the same season was not really looking very good when he came off with his finger bent the other way.
Hmm.
And through all of that, he just was second reference to it on this call, Chris. He was a mensch. He just handled
Mm.
himself with didn't complain class, got caught up in school, and now we're excited again. And I just feel like it had a feeling like the world was falling in September because we worked so hard to get to that moment. And he's like, I just wanted to play with my friends, and now he's back playing with his friends. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm up there at the park looking around like this was a win,
Hmm.
for all of us, you
It's
know.
another one of those good examples of time, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
time talk about
yeah,
healing. I
Yeah.
mean,
right.
Yeah,
literally,
right. Literally and
literally.
figuratively. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try to answer your question. I think and maybe this is less personal, but Manisha, who you've never met, Ben, but Shaun knows pretty well, is an incredible woman, at professionally, personally, all the above. And she's getting back into, she took time off of work, primarily to parent. She's getting back into work. And I'll get almost daily notes from her about, hey, I've got, I had a conversation with this person who's interested in me doing this or me doing that. And I think this goes back to something Shaun and I talked about a long time ago on a podcast, like 7 good minutes is like my, where I fall down is when I say, oh, that's great. And where I do well as a human is when I say, oh, that's awesome. Tell me more. Right. And so, just it's not it's the other end of the spectrum from problems, but just like taking big problems and making them little problems, I think that there's value in taking small wins and and
hmm
and appreciating them and making them
yeah,
big wins. So, like, let's move to the extremes here, in both of those examples. And so that's kind of what's on my mind right now in regards to your question.
love it.
Yeah, I'll close and just say rather than a really specific example, I share the comment about being minimizer, and I am being, trying to be very mindful of that. And so, as it relates to big problems, little problems, it's more about, okay, recognize and notice when this is coming up. And is it time to listen? Is it time to talk? And, and is it time to help? So just being extra mindful of those situations. Yeah, I would say that's where I'm at.
Amen. Well, I'll tell you
Amen.
both that the idea for this topic came up when I spoke recently at a conference, and the organizers had copies of my book for anybody who wanted one. And it was not the kind of event where I thought people would stay after for a children's book. And there was a long line, and we ran out of copies. What struck me about it was that they every this was a financial technology conference, so sophisticated subject matter, people dealing with complex things. And every conversation was one on one, personal. Hi, my name is so and so. Here's something that this book made me think of. Your story in your speech made me think of. I want to give this to my mom. I want to give this to my kid. I want to give this to my niece. Somebody said like their boss was going through some trouble. They wanted to sign it to their boss. And it just made me think of how rewarding that was for me, that there are so many people that are trying to make life a little simpler. And if you find some charming, well illustrated anecdote that makes people feel warm, that's a win. And I've gotten a lot of listening to you both talk about how you deal with these things. And so thank you for the listening, as you said, Shaun, and Chris always going there with me.
Well,
And
can I get some clarity on one thing though? Did
yeah,
you share at all with these people that, oh, your friend Sean was the first one that said, hey, this is really good for adults too. I mean, why are we calling it a children's book?
Yeah,
During
did you
our
give
interview,
Sean
did
credit?
I
That's what
get
we want to know.
credit for
Sean
that?
needs to
I
know if
want
he
to,
got credit.
did I? Yeah.
well, I was going to, and then I thought, what would Sean do? And I just minimized the shit out of it.
Nobody
I
knows
just
who that asshole
so
is. No.
I just
Right.
left you out completely.
Nobody
I
knows
thought
who he
I
is.
That's the right call.
Yeah, that's the
uh
right call.
that's the right call.
Oh. Oh,
All right.
thanks.
I appreciate that levity. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yes. Friends, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Pour It On. Remember, when life's challenges make you want to bottle it up, do what we do. Let it out. Pour it on. And thanks for listening. If you like to learn more about any of us, you can drop us a line via our LinkedIn profiles. We're very active there. This podcast is available wherever you love to get them, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and the like. And so spread the word if you're enjoying these kinds of conversations. And until the next one, gents, great to chat with you. Thanks so much.
Peace and love. Thanks for
Love
listening,
you,
Jeff
boys.
Tress.
Cheers, guys.